All right, let's get into what's necessary to finger and relate to the rhythms for the solo. First of all, what we're doing again here is beginning the solo in the 11th and 12th bars of a 12-bar blues. And so bar 11 was this part, and of course bar 12. So let's talk for a second about the rhythm that's going on here in bar 11. I'm going to scratch it to begin with. This rhythm is a typical rhythm, in other words, a well-established rhythm. It dates, as far as I know, all the way back to Duke Ellington with the song "It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing," and also is in Jimi Hendrix's Crosstown Traffic, so you may recognize it a little bit. The pitches I'm using are different than those songs, but the rhythm's the same. What I've got going here is I'm relating to a A-shape G7 chord. Got one finger on a chord tone and the other finger on the minor third, bending it up to sort of make the chord be implied as major with this kind of an approach. Then going to the root and sliding down. This of course takes us to the 5 chord. And then we've got a pickup taking us into our first phrase. And that's as follows, sliding into the 5th fret and then to the 3rd on the 3rd and 4th strings, finishing up on the root, and this would be out of our E-shape pentatonic minor. So that is as follows. Moving up into the D-shape G7 and back down. Then getting away from the minor sound and going into a major sound from the G Mixolydian as follows. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the G Mixolydian, that's just the C major scale thought of from the 5th degree to the 5th degree to emphasize the 5 chord, G7. Moving on now, we need to approach our 4 chord, which is C7. We'll use a variation of our first pickup, and that is this, and likewise vary the phrase we just played. So what we did there is, instead of going to the G as before, we went to the C, of course, to touch base with our C7 chord. Our follow-through to that is again to move up higher on the neck as follows. One more time. One more time. And then do an octave transposition. Notice I've got my finger right now on the G, which is where our Mixolydian idea began before. I'm going to stick with that plan, but move it up, transpose it 1 octave, and here it goes. As you know, the chord progression goes now to A7. We'll address that with the pentatonic minor, the E shape, and also the major third, so we're going to move into that. And move up to the 10th fret for the D chord portion and use our Mixolydian idea again, which would go like this. Now at this point, if you were trading solos with another guitar player, you would be finished and they would pick up in the 11th bar. But let's assume you're on your own, and also that you want to finish the song. And so I'm going to play another 11th bar idea using the same rhythm as before but different pitches, and then go to the 1 as I did in the solo demonstration. But as you know, if the song was being played, you would go to the 5 chord. So I'll demonstrate it both ways, once to the 1 and then once to the 5. So here we go to the 1. One more time. Now, before we go further with this, let me mention that this is a chicken-pickin idea. This is like a southern guitar playing type of an approach, normally done with pick and fingers in alternation, sort of like the beginning to the James Gang's Funk 49, or Eric Clapton's original solo on Rockin Daddy and the Howlin Wolf London Sessions. So what's happening is you do a whole step bend, and then as you descend, you alternate with your pick and your finger. I'll do that slowly. And then we go from there. I'm just doing it here, though, with the pick. And that's allowing me to get some harmonics, some pinch harmonics. And let's hear it now going to the 1 chord and then the 5 chord. So here we go first again to the 1. finally, one more time to the 5.